Hello, good morning, good evening, Mr. Ganapathi. Thank you for joining SKYWINGS USA talk. I'm Sanjay Parihar. I'm a technologist from Houston, and I'm here with my friend, Mr. Anand. Mr. Anand.
Hey, thank you, Sanjay, and welcome, Ganpati, to our channel, SkyWings.
Yeah.
Looking forward, to a nice talk.
Thank you, Anand and Sanjay, and good morning to you all. And thanks for this opportunity. Yes, I read that it's about technology, it's about entrepreneurship. How do you inspire others? But I would like to go back to the journey which starts from Kalyan. And this is Kalyan is a town near Mumbai, and Anand is all smiles. We come from the same place around the same time. So why it is important, probably as I go along, you will come to know the significance of Kalyan. So I studied in a Lourdes school, a convent school in Kalyan, and those days a lot of friends. It's kind of your span of influence was within 5 kilometers. You knew everyone, so that's how life used to be. Absolutely wonderful, carefree, not really bothered about anything. And so after that, I went to SIS Sion, and I think 40% to go to SIS, rest to Ruya and Khalsa. So these were a few of the colleges, Ruparel. So even that was fixed, and people landed up there, and you made friends and friends along the way and all. And that's one. Those days, it was like I don't know whether it's herd mentality or what. In the science stream, some went into the medical profession, as the rest tried for IIT or engineering. Nowadays we talk of herd immunity. Today's children are immune to, they want to do whatever they want. They are not governed by herd mentality, but we had it in those days. If you are beyond a certain marks, and so that's how I landed in IIT Mumbai. I did my metallurgy there, and then as this, we went looking for a job in companies which were into welding. I was a professional in welding technology. So I started my career with Philips, and later on it became a Swedish company called ESAB. So I did sales over there. Visiting customers, getting all sales, and start with a terrain called Kolkata and Eastern India. So straight away out of Mumbai, landing in Kolkata and spending 2 years there. So why these are important is it probably helps you at a later stage in life, or the learnings which comes out of it. And then, of course, went into marketing, product management within the same company. And here is a very important point. The first managers or bosses you get in your career, they play a vital role in shaping who you are, how you are. So the bosses I had, they instilled a lot of values, the value system, how you do business, the kind of a confidence, and many of them were my seniors from IIT. So it was kind of fraternity over there, and that's where we learned the ropes of doing business ethically and many other facets of how do you handle conflict situations in the business and dealerships, and say even institutional customers and so on. So many aspects of the business, and within the team, within the company, how do you start collaborating? Because we were interface between the factory and doing the supplies. So he used to tell me every Monday, your job is to go and sit with the production manager and the quality head and the distribution head, and ensure that you fine tune them for the requirements you may be having. So it's all like, the word networking was not known that day, but something we learned that day, that you had to network to get your things done. So he was a kind of a guru to all of us, and one look forward to a guru, and one is very fortunate to have people. After literally 9 years, the bug caught me that I had to do something on my own. So far you've been selling something for the organization. So now start selling for yourself. Right? So went into business with a colleague we started with the normal welding electrode, then moved into cobalt alloys, which is stellite. That's when we knew that you got to be in a niche area. The normal electrodes everybody was selling, and it was really a fight which you are having in the market. So you knew that it had to be a niche. So we picked up stellite, not many players. We could contribute our consulting bit into it also. the knowledge of metallurgy and joining, and hence you have an edge over others. So that's where the idea went on. We built that business, went on for 9 years. When I quit, something was in me that I'm doing the same thing for the last 20 years, it's welding electrodes. Is there something different I can do? So what happens in such situations is you want to do something, but you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
So, and I think majority of, I wouldn't say students or employees in organizations are still fighting that in their mind, and it takes them 5 years, 10 years, and they don't come out of it.
Right.
So I took, business was fine. It was happening. My partner is still doing it. He's grown it 15 times more from what it was in those days. So I went to do a sabbatical, not known much in those days in India. Nobody took leave out of a job or out of a business. So literally 6 months, I was toying with what do I get into? Should I get into some kind of steel, or I didn't want to get into that business again. So let's see, let me burn my bridges with welding or metals and all. Is there anything new? So when you start thinking, that's when someone comes along the way and says, in one of the programs I was doing a presentation, he says, why don't you train and coach people? I said, I have never done that. I've been on the receiving end. I've been trained, I've been coached in organizations, but how do I do it? Yeah, there has to be some DNA or the other that people need to do that. So cutting the long story, there is a long story of how I entered into the teaching profession. Right? So I started teaching management students in colleges, executive management and all. That was not enough. So again, serendipity, and someone comes along and says, you have to get into corporate training. So that was the most interesting journey of 4.5 years in corporate training, coaching, assessments across the industry, across levels, right up to the managing director. A wonderful journey of, you're just picking your bag, going training left, right, center. You're observing behaviors, you are understanding the process. Each company different. On one hand, you may have a Unilever, other hand, you may have a bank, or you may have a media company. The human behaviors, how do they function in each of these? What is the measure of success in each of these? Why do some tick? Why do not some others tick, and so on? So a lot of things happening, and I was enjoying that role of a coach, the role of a trainer, and one of the companies was Adecco, which is Swiss staffing companies. And second one was a boutique company by very passionate individuals into HR and training. So learn the ropes of talent management, did a lot with a lot of companies. And then you knew that you arrived in this field. And this is where your calling is. And you tell everyone, I'm going to establish myself in this. But one afternoon at 3:30, I get a call from my childhood friend Sundar. And Sundar was at the time managing director of Holcim IT services. He's been a veteran in IT field, having been the global CIO for Aditya Birla, before that Unilever. He said he's quit corporate and he wants to start something on his own. So I land up at his house and we start discussing what to do. And he kind of chides me, let's do something in welding and all. I said that is done and dusted and written off. I don't want to revisit that area. So let's do something on, say, energy, a kind of alternate energy. It could be solar, or it could be. So as we were talking, that's when I told Sundar, you are IT veteran. Why don't we get? I don't know anything of IT. I've never been near IT before. So that's when we started this company, and it was already there in a very small way called R Sales Arm. Now you will ask me, what is R Sales Arm IT Services Private Limited? So there's a joke which goes around. One of our salesperson, he went to a customer and asked, R sales arm, what is the meaning of this? Said, I don't know, sir. It started by some Madrasi, so R could mean something Ram or something. I don't know. So R stands for remote sales arm. So we were wanting to build solutions for the field force, which is remote and away from the headquarters, and they needed some solutions. So that's how the whole journey started. So we had Sundar, myself, Sundar's brother Venkat, and younger brother Vijay. So we were the one, Vijay was working at that point of time. So we used to sit and discuss what to do and which field to be in. So that's where you know that you need to do some segmentation, analyze where there are not many players around. There is a gap, there is a white space available for you to do business. So we saw that the SAP and Oracle, they are all at the core. I mean, they are all within the company. But when you go to the Salesforce who are out there in the field, not many applications were there for sales or for training. Yes, you had the biggies, the Salesforce and so on. You had the large Cornerstone on Demand or many of those large LMSs and all. But you didn't have solutions on the mobile. I'm talking of 2011 when SMS was also prevalent in India. Many things got done in the SMS. So we said we want a solution which is a field force solution for sales. And that's how we started building this solution. There is a small chapter in between where we tried to use a platform of another company from you. It didn't work out and we started on a loss. So we started with a big minus probably has been haunting us for quite a while. But that is where you take a decision that, yes, these are called 2-minute decisions. So why I say 2-minute decisions is even in my career as a trainer and as a coach, there's some difficult assignment would come up and as a team, the leader would ask, do you want to take it up? So I would say, give me 2 minutes. I'll turn around. Nothing happens in those 2 minutes because you're going to invariably say yes. So it's just to say that you've done some real analysis. That's the intuition. You always say yes. And this is what I've learned. For certain of the assignments, when you get very close to a customer, he wants you to do it. So I've had some real evangelist customers and people who have propped me, who have motivated me, who have given me, trusted me with assignment, which I've not done before. So when you go and tell them, Ganapathy, you will do it. Sir, I have not done this before, but I will do it and I can do it. And this I have done it before. Means saying that I have not done it, but I will do it, I can do it. I have done it many times successfully. And so you go on like. So that's how
that's a gut feeling, I think. You get a gut feeling, is it? How do you passion or what is
No, it's like this. I think unless there is something which is very technical in nature. If you ask me to code, I wouldn't be able to do that. Or if you ask me to design a pump or something like that, I'm saying you have to learn and do something. But certain other things where you take a decision where you know you're going to learn. And we all do accelerated learning. We can do that. Give me 8 days and I would read up everything about a company and a business and competitors and churn up a program. So you can do it. Even in solutions, I'll come to it. There is a certain pattern in solutions. It's not that it's one is different from other. There are instances where some questions have been asked by customers and how we overcame them. So those decisions are with a gut feeling, and you are always wearing your education and your knowledge and wisdom up your sleeve. So you could do that. And in our sales, you have Sundar besides you. So somebody who's been there, done that. Technically also I'm covered. And I'll tell you one of those stories which is very important. So we got into Salesforce kind of solutions and got very large customers. And the beauty of these customers, the first of the ones, they sat with us to make the proposal and said, I want to see that you are not losing any money in this.
Wow.
So,
Wow. That's nice. That's a trust, I think. Very good trust.
A trust. And we call them angel customers because they knew we are rookies in this. And they said that you might not know the pricing, what are the cost overruns that might take place, there'll be a scope creep that will happen. And so these are guys who helped us, and we had youngsters join us who bought into the vision in the initial days. There was a boy who was a banker, and he left everything and he came along. So the team, we had the family glue between me and Sundar and all, plus the team coming in. So it's all very important that there is an idea. Yes, you go after an idea. You look at a white space which is not there, which very few players are there. I don't think there is any black hole unless you are in a new technology as such. that there are no
Yeah.
competitors. Everywhere there are competitors, and you need competition. I mean, they're the ones, sometimes they educate the customer and you get the order. So many times those things do happen. So getting such customers was very important. And so we had christened our product called ROYCE, ROYCE, reach and own your customers effectively. That's a trademark product. So our Salesforce product took off, and we did a few large organizations managing their Salesforce, their leads, and their CRM, and all those things happening. Mm-hmm. So I've been training at a very large US company, I mean, in India, I mean, for many years. So we said, why don't we go digital on learning? Mm-hmm. So let's do something. And we didn't have a learning product. Wow. So that, as I was in that meeting, and Sundar was in Calcutta for some other business, I did some reading and I took the order. We didn't have the product, but I took the order. I said, we are doing it. Right? Oh. And then Sundar said, how come we are into sales, and what about learning? I said, I've taken the order. So you got to deliver now. So that's how the first product came up. It was called Seed and so on. Mm. That's the birth of the product called TuneM. So TuneM is right. Tune the employees. TuneM, so we saw that we have a winner in TuneM. And what TuneM does is it aggregates all forms of learning in an organization for every employee, and helps him in his journey to learn, to improve his competencies. It helps the trainer and the HR and the entire organization get some visibility in where he is, and you can do course corrections along the way and all. So this product had a gap. There are not many players in this. I mean, you had some people who had content, some who were doing, say, a little bit of e-learning and all, but not the entire gamut of deliverables which we had. So in a couple of years, we had all 10 clients, and all of them MNCs. So which is where we got a lot of knowledge. I mean, working with them. And
those are big clients, I think, right? They are like very big clients, right? In this.
So we
as compared to our sales.
So there is a reason for that, because 2014-15 is when the TuneM took off. Then we focused on it for 2 years. We shifted the entire team attention into TuneM, and ROYCE went into I wouldn't say back burner, though customers were there, but we didn't invest in that. But this
so
year,
how did Sundar align to this whole thought of you? You committed,
no
of
choice.
Course.
He had no choice. He had to align. I mean, we know each other from childhood.
I know you're a strong person.
And we will fight it out. I mean, that's called the healthy competition within the organization, wherein certain things you have to bulldoze your way and take it. Otherwise, I said, I'll get it done from outside. Outsource it. So, the thing I'm pointing out is we didn't know there was a market in the learning part of it. Of course, it's ironical. I came from the learning field. I've been a trainer and a coach. Yeah. Why didn't I think of it before? I mean, till a customer prompted me that let's go in for this product. So there are these moments where it's there for the taking, and somebody gives you a signal. So on that day, it was a 2-minute decision. You had to take that. That's how the product got made. So we have large clients and a team. Now, where all these starts is typically in an IT company. People say it's about coding skills. I mean, in India, you will get any coder anytime you want, whether it's Java or .NET or PHP and all. But the most important thing which we focus on is the business knowledge and training people on business. We tell them, don't open your laptop. You have to come to the whiteboard and the flip charts. That's how you learn. So you have to learn the business of your customer. You don't start coding. So this is a shift. People have understood that every morning I don't have to open my laptop and start coding. I need to understand the business. And everybody went through a training on whichever, whether they were handling ROYCE or whether they were handling TuneM. And in course of time, we ensured that everybody knows both of it. And because there is a synergy at the back end, the platform. So what evolved in this whole journey is a platform. So this platform now serves as a single platform for unleashing other products. So we have unleashed survey products from the same platform. We have audit products, compliance products from the same platform. So we have a game on that. The platform is ready. We can do many products to the platform, which we have built. So we have a kind of a model which is called a 5 pillars. I mean, as long as you fit into those 5 pillars. Now, what I want to say is, people tell us, how do you automate? What do you automate? We want to digitalize. So we tell them that first you see your processes are set right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about digitalization or you're going to make something which is wrong super efficient.
Yeah, this is happening now, right? The whole enterprises are talking about digital transformation, and this pandemic also, right, Sanjay, has taken away this whole thought process of people. How do I manage this remote workers, and how do I do digital transformation? I was, so all industry groups like insurance, everybody's having challenge now, which had a different approach altogether actually to this whole management of their work, employees, collaboration, right? That's been a challenging times now, right? For a lot of companies.
But those who had bought into the digitalization process a few years back, they already had products or solutions with them. It's just they were not leveraging them.
Yeah.
Right. So they were at a benefit that at this point of time during the COVID, they started using it to the hilt. They started leveraging it. They started coming back to us. You enable this module. Let's do this. So, for example, let's say the entire training, it went remote. Of course, thanks to Zoom and Teams and the other platform. But besides that, a lot of e-learn people started churning their own videos. So why do I need a content company? I'll make my own videos. I'll convert the PPTs into videos. I'll give a voiceover. So overnight, you had a lot of artists and dubbing artists and so on. And it was kind of a new thrill for the learning folks to make their own content. So this is how people survived, and the entire thing went digital. So now when things open up, how much of it will go back to the classroom? We need to see, because there is a kind of cost benefit to it. You don't have to fly people from the field to training locations, and you lose man days. I mean, this could be done on the go. So there's a lot of benefits which people saw, and this is where I think, Anand, you are right. Suddenly people want to jump into the digitalization bandwagon, and they operate in silos. So we keep telling them, you have to make a roadmap. I mean, you're not looking at this COVID period alone. So what are you going to do? Is it going to be sustainable for you? I mean, 5 years down the line, you don't want to buy something and not use it later on. So this is where a lot of thought goes in. And we say that when we talk of best practices, the biggest challenge with organization, each organization thinks they're unique in their own right, and each process is unique. So we will come back and say, if you are in insurance, you cannot be so very different from the other insurance. Or if you are in pharma, you can't be so very different from the other pharma companies and so on. Rather, I would say between companies, there is very little different, because end of the day, human behavior is human behavior, whether you are working in pharma, the competencies or the skills and emotions, everything is same. I mean, of course, there will be a different from the technical skill point of view or the functional skill point of view. The approval processes or different processes may be different based on those organizations. So where we leverage is, we work across the spectrum. So we are not confined to one industry, so which has been a big plus for us. So we bring in the best practices of one industry to the other, and this is how we cross-pollination of knowledge of industries happens. What has worked for?
But how do you look at this? How do you look at this whole? Of course, digital transformation and all that is important, and that's going to evolve rapidly. And pandemic, of course, made it faster for people because of the need or whatever you want to say. But how is this AI automation, which is rapidly happening, right, in this world? People have been talking about it a lot, and things are evolving, of course, right, Sanjay? In that era, like look at Sanjay blockchain. He's like, so he had a good experience.
I mean, I had one interesting question here. So first of all, thank you for sharing this story on this. It's such a great, passionate story from Kalyan to reaching to this point, and there's a progression around it. There's a different thought process, and like I definitely love your thought process about 2 minutes thought process. There's something we definitely learned. And on that line, I just want to ask one question. So as a CEO and founder of TuneM, and I can see that this is such a great initiative for corporate. How is the future? How is the present and future looks like for TuneM? I mean, what are the strategy and how do you see the moving forward for TuneM as such?
Yeah, so if I look at TuneM, so we are in enterprises and we are in large enterprises. So who have a distributed sales force of 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, in a case 1.5 lakh, another case 3.5 lakh. So these are large enterprises. So there is a room to extend to more large enterprises. That is point number one. Point number two is we want to do for the SME bit in India. Now, SME is a large sector in India, and they would need something called probably a TuneM Lite. So if you look at TuneM, it may have so many facets, so many deliverables, and so on and so forth, and it may be a little intimidating for an SME who may want a lighter version. So work is going on the lighter version called TuneM Lite. So that opens up a big door for us in terms of the SMEs, and there'll be a lot of do-it-yourself in that, because today our model is a little high on engagement, where we educate the client, we sit with them, we tweak their processes and help them to really leverage the product. So maybe SME would not have the liberty; they may not have anyone internally to help us in this aspect. So that is one way to expand the business. Second, obviously, comes the geography. So we already tried. I mean, we do have customers in Bangladesh and Australia and all, and a few of our customers were extended to Kazakhstan, and soon it'll be going to Kenya and other places. So we are multilingual. So the product it's a Unicoded one, so it can operate in any language. So that is the geography expansion is very big. We did toy with the USA a couple of years back, and probably in the road I met Anand at the time. So it was very good. The reception was good, but the ball dropped somewhere, and it didn't take off. We had to abort that at that point of time. So that is in waiting right now. So it can happen anytime with the right partners. And so we have a huge expansion for TuneM in terms of the product features, of course. And there's one more thing, probably we may do certain tweaking to TuneM where we may even cannibalize our own product into a new offering. Totally. Which can happen. So there are some thoughts around that line. So because you mentioned AI ML, and so we are already into chatbots and AI ML and NLP based chatbots for training. And the first customer is already on for the last 6-8 months. So that is one thought process which we cannot be insulated or isolated from AI ML. It is there. Our only submission is our corporate's ready with the knowledge to implement that AI ML. So from a customer service point of view, yes, many of the customers have definitely gone into AI ML, has become de rigueur in terms of if you go to a bank site or you go to insurance site and it's already there. It is going to see a lot of traction, obviously. And so we are there, and there are a lot of proprietary thoughts on that front also, and how to handle that AI ML so that it's a product which is not subject to certain reservations and not subject to certain regulations, but something which is dear to us and close to the customer. It protects the customer as well. Right. So that's our thought process on the IML part. We do get a lot of inquiries, but I think India is right now fledging, barring the large corporates. The others have to enter the first set of digitalization. I think only after that they can think of IML. Otherwise, I know they may want to jump on generation, but it won't work because the foundation would not be laid for them to sustain it. They may go wrong, they may err along the way. In fact, we did get a big order from a multinational a few years back, but we backed out because we were not ready. And they also didn't use anyone else's product because it was a little ahead of time at that point of time.
Great.
So people do come to us.
What is this this whole cloud, this whole cloud, other than AI ML, of course, you can see people moving towards cloud and talking about cloud, and how are your in your enterprise, how do you see this whole landscape coming out to, and this new technology, because that's a different landscape altogether, actually, right? Rather than infrastructure wise as well as the native
So how things have been moving is when we started off, people used to do you have a smack stack? So that's how people used to call social, mobile analytics and cloud. So the cloud part came in. I mean, do you have a Smack? Slowly the social got into a different mode altogether, and now it's cloud is given. I mean, many of those companies, barring a few who are privy to proprietary knowledge and want to keep in-house and on-premise or whatever, everything is happening on the cloud. Even those organizations who were on, on-premise servers are migrated to AWS and others. So I think that's so. If you look at the Indian service providers, we have NTT, NetMagic. They're expanding like anything. They put in new data centers and all. Probably there might be a regulation to host the entire data in India. And so cloud, yes. I mean, every CIO is thinking in those terms. He wants to shift every process to the cloud. That is a given. Like, and how, when, how much, which are the critical data they may keep with them. Apart from that, I think it's on. It's already on many years back, and MNCs have already been onto the cloud. I mean, they really they don't want to get into that infra business and all this.
Yeah. Especially those are very expensive now to maintain on-prem.
And everybody, the first question is, do you have a SaaS offering? So
that's SaaS.
So, yeah.
That was my next question on SaaS. Like, is Tunam also thinking on that, or you look at that SaaS offerings expanding in a big way, or how are things actually?
Correct. So currently our architecture, it is on the cloud. True, it is on the cloud, but it needs a lot of engagement from our side. So if you talk of a plug-on, literally, so there are a few work which are going on that, and a pure play SaaS, as you may call it, might come in. So because that also has its own disadvantages into, I wouldn't say customization, the configurations to be carried out and all. So each process is different. So if you go SaaS, I mean, there will be limitations on that also. So one has to strike a fine balance into giving value to your customers, because he wants to automate a lot of and digitalize a lot of processes, which probably might not happen if you have a pure play SaaS model. So we have to balance.
That's great. Yeah.
Sanjay?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's good to learn about so much things about, COVID-19 impact and cloud and AI. Those are definitely impacting. And you rightly mentioned that there has to be foundation of, before that next step being taken, there has to be foundation. How's anything in the blockchain? Anybody taking interest in the blockchain area? It's that area is all still evolving.
Emerging
right? Yeah. So
I would talk about RPA more.
RPA, yes, robotic process automation. Yes.
Yeah. So RPA, I mean, automating the processes that need to be automated is this. Right. In fact, we tied up with a US company. We are representing them in India, and so that's a bot RPA company. I mean, obviously it's through bots. You automate the repetitive processes and bring in efficiencies. And of course, saving in terms of time as well as cost. So in every process, I mean, you can automate any process, any conceivable process. So when people ask us, what you can automate? We say we can automate anything. So I was reminded of a professor in Bajaj when I was doing my MBA, Professor Jagannathan. I mean, he used to tell us, okay, guys, you have to make a process stepwise. Okay, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. Okay, so you tell me how many steps are there. So he'll pick up a guy. He'll say, so you took the cigarette from the pocket. That's step number 1. Step 2, put it in your mouth. He say, I don't even have a cigarette. Yeah, I need to go and buy it. So invariably, what happened after the end of the class, you saw that there were 100 steps to the process of smoking. I mean, literally. So that is the same within organizations. Like. So if you go to look at processes at a micro level, each of these processes, so you have to decide, process X, you need to digitalize it or not? Is it a touch point for people or not? Can it do without people at that point? Can it be automated? Is it a customer touch point, which is a digital or a phygital? So these are decisions which need to be taken at a micro level before, I mean, otherwise automation is possible for any of the processes. Right? But you need to take the big rocks on. The big rocks where you're going to save in terms of time or cost, or you're doing some great computing. That's what you want to automate. I mean, you want to hook up 4 websites, pull up the data from there, and then connect it and mash it up and get a report in real time. That's where you want to use bots. You don't want to use bots for something which could be done by somebody else. And I mean, it's not.
Actually, you said it right. Actually, on this, when we start this journey of intelligent automation, RP, of course, being one of the tools. When we talk about intelligent automation, of course, I keep telling people, actually, when it's ML, AI, RPAs, and all that, your complete solution is slightly different, and this is a part of it. Like you said, right? There are certain things which you cannot automate, or they are like. So the complete solution, this could be a part of it, which brings out efficiency into this whole intelligent automation world, actually. So on this part, actually, when we talk about intelligent automation, what do you think, like, people are thinking about, of course, automating processes, but there could be other things also, right, which passionately people look at, actually, into this whole world, because efficiency is one of the things, actually, which brings up. I remember when we do intelligent automation, they keep talking about ROI, if I start this process automating, what is the ROI? Then there is a talk about straight through processing. So much of people talk about that, right? So if you can put some light, I think Sanjay is an expert in that area, actually, building.
We are just entering that area. So we are just testing the waters, so to say. And the best way to learn is to do demos at clients and learn from them, like So already they are exposed to international companies in the automation space. I mean, there are big names in that. But then we have certain advantages and certain benefits and certain uniqueness which are not present in those brands. Would name the brands, but they are not there in them. So hence we get an immediate demo. So the first thing they ask is, I will automate it and all. In terms of people, how much? If 3 people, I need to do this process. Will it bring it down to 1 or 0? Will it require coding? Do I still need a data scientist? I mean, there are automation engines where you put the engine, but you still need a data scientist. So do I need how much is the coding? Is it a 0 code, or do I do coding in this?
Expensive.
And how many bots do I have? Only 1 bot, or I can build unlimited bot? And if the bot is going to be faster, can I use that bot for some other process because it is just idling away? So some of these questions.
Attended, unattended bots.
Absolutely right. So we have a FAQ which we go with the customers, and it has started. I mean, it's a company actually based out of US whom we are partnering in India, and we realized that we cannot do everything. So we said certain things. So it's an area of collaboration. I mean, because we also collaborate with people in the content business. We don't make content, digital content. So we collaborate with them whenever there is an order. We collaborate with them. Yeah. So it's an age we want to focus on the technology of a platform, and somebody's already done the RPA and the bot and the AI ML bit. In fact, that they are already into the NLP, NLU, and NLA part of it, literally. So when we built our chatbot, it's called UnoBot. That is our brand. It belongs to TuneM, and we had to validate it. So we went to the folks who make this, and they're based out of East European countries. They said, you have done a wonderful job. I mean, we also didn't look at some of those angles. So why were you so anxious in thinking that this is suboptimal? I mean, this is much more than that. Just go ahead. You don't need our help in supporting this or building. So that gives a lot of confidence that it's there. It's just that you're used to that validation from outside. So you don't need that. So you are right. AI, ML, there is a lot of traction. Every CIO is talking about AI, ML, RPA. But we want to go sure-footed in really helping people automate. We don't want them to land up with bots and then say, how many of them are using it? What is the efficiency? And there the CFO comes in and asks, I paid for so many bots, and how many of them are used? Like on many of the call centers will get into bots. Many of the standard querying will get into bots and all. So the joke goes around. I met someone, in the corridor, and he said, I'm rushing for a meeting. I'm quite busy. I'll meet you later. I said, you are heading a call center, you are rushing for a meeting, your entire team member is bots, yeah? So whom are you having a meeting with? So, and I told him, you look at I said, didn't you realize when you had a team, they were obligated to laugh at all your jokes. Yeah, the bots wouldn't laugh at your jokes now. so
until you program for them. Until you program for
So there's a lot of buzz around it. I mean, I may call it. So if you say if you're saying you're a RPA company, you're into bots, the door opens. I mean, give me a demo because everybody wants it. But I think people have to go through that learning curve of understanding what it actually does. So which is where I say the foundation. So let's take our own products, Royce and TuneM. We find that people struggle with the masters of all the things. The database is not right, the masters are not right, and so many other challenges which are there. The hierarchy is not right, the fields are not proper which they want in terms of reports. I don't know how they have been doing it. I mean, in Excel or you may, but when you automate it, you want everything right. So I think the foundation is something which people need to fix first, and then move on to these. The desire is there. I would say the desire is there to own all these digitalization and automation. Everybody wanted to digitalize during this COVID days. As far as Sanjay's question on blockchain, I'm not an expert on that.
Sanjay,
so blockchain.
Sanjay and I've been working on this. On this intelligent automation. I know there are steps actually. We do data analysis, collection, then modeling of the data, and then models applied, and then intelligent. Now, actually, I know you're very passionate about speaking, traveling, and because that's what Sundar keeps telling. And the Paresh also keeps telling me that he goes and talks a lot. So what is that like as an experience? Because you're a good speaker, I know, but you go at many places, I think, right? Passionately speak. Not about technology, but about business and mentorship. And can you share some?
So we have another company called Rewire Consultancy Services. Now Rewire is into consulting in IT, HR. So I do the HR bit of it. So I've been a trainer. So I'm a global certified trainer for a few MNCs. So I train on behaviors, basically leadership and conflict and communication, and at all levels. So when I started, I used to train from the lowest level. That's how you learn the ropes. And then I train in, let's say, various. I mean, the subject is not the limitation for me on what to train on. So I've done everything from outbound training to whatever you call it, team building. I mean, there's not one which I've not done. Assessment centers. I built my own assessment centers and talent management centers, development centers, then coaching at senior levels. So it's been fun. So there is a template for that, basically, how you do it. I mean, it's individual to each one of your, how do you catch the pulse of the other person when you coach and counsel. And so when you do your NLP stuff and all, and this is not the software NLP, the other NLP, neuro-linguistic programming part of it. Even yesterday, I got a call from a long-time friend. He had a challenge, and it was a medical challenge. I said, just talk to me for 1 hour. I mean, I cannot give you a medicine. so probably, so I love doing that coaching. I love doing career transition coaching. So when you do career transition, you help people who have been, who laid off and they're looking for a job and so on at all levels, at very senior levels. So that's what brings me to the part of entrepreneurship and startups. And I think that is one issue we need to touch. It's not about how much money you have or what position you have or what salary you made. It's whether you want to do it or not. It's as simple as that. So I've had very senior people who had enough money in the bank and were at senior position. I told them, now drop everything, become an entrepreneur. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to become another vice president in another company. So I think that's a message to anyone. If you feel you want to do it maximum. You learn from it. Nobody fails in an entrepreneurship. See, if you look at India, it's full of businessmen. Every backdoor is a businessman, and Anand would know it from looking at Mumbai and other places. So when you say the business, it's a small thing. It's family and a few people around it. Okay, then it becomes a kind of when you talk about entrepreneurship, you're building an organization. Like, there are a lot of processes and so on and so forth. It's nothing different. Maybe the end of the day, the EBITDA are the same for both, probably in the initial period. When you're building an organization, and when tech came in, the word startups came in, because the whole method of funding became different from let's say family and friends to the VCP kind. So that's how it's a change of terminology, if you see. But the gut which you need. Or the risk which you need to take in any of these businesses is the same. So a lot of people come to me. I have friends who are extremely competent, and we sit over in McDonald's. He says, "I want to quit the job." I said, "Okay, quit. Give me a party now." He says, "Not now. My son is in 10th. I'll do it when he finishes." I said, "Okay. After that, after 2 years, your daughter is going to come to 10th. Yeah, so it's going to be an unending story. So I think it's that kida. You just got to crack it. That's all. Nothing happens. I mean, for me, this is the fourth innings, and from say welding to teaching to I didn't know anything of IT. I mean, so it's easy to speak. I mean, you learn. There is something called accelerated learning. I mean, you can learn any field as fast as you want. You won't be an expert in that, but yes, you will learn enough to be able to handle. So in Rewire, I do the speaking assignments in colleges or corporates. It's tapered off kind of now after the focus is shifted to the digital products. So earlier it was quite a bit.
So Sanjay.
One more area. I mean, I would say that which has been happening, but not much seen is the IoT part of it.
IoT,
IoT.
Connected devices, and if you look at all these quick service restaurants which have come and flourished in India, the connected devices part of it, and if you look at maintenance, or you're looking at a solar panel, whatever, there's a lot of IoT which leads to analytics, which leads to again leads to bots. So there's a bit
because that's the way the world has moved from analog to digital, because
absolutely.
IoT is actually is an in-between person.
So that's not being talked about now much, but it is there. It is there in all the engineering companies. IoT is there. I mean, you are signaled off for your maintenance
sensors
and with probably with what do you call many of the new devices coming in, it's going to be interconnected. Somebody told me your fridge is going to talk to you and tell you, you consumed all
a lot of the stuff in our home also, we call it as connected home.
Correct.
That's happening, where our furnace is now very or things are happening there. Alexa, Google Home.
So I keep saying, I mean, a fridge talking to me or OTG or microwave talking to me is fine, but if they start talking to each other, they may gang up there, and form a union of sorts.
Facebook story of those bots, right? I mean, the thing which happened, right? And in IoT world, I mean, there was a very interesting use case which I in the turbine case, like when the safety is such a top priority, and I know this was a very public use case which has been published for the IoT. And turbine is taking care by itself, and whoever come in there, it was just it's very interesting to see the world, how it is progressing towards. Now, while we are about to wrap up the conversation, Mr. Ganapathi, I have it's such a great journey, and it's going on. It's with such a visionary part on your side. The question is, what's your message to the budding and in transit and other entrepreneurs? Based on your experience.
So there are 2-3. I mean, there are people who want to become an entrepreneur right out of college, or while within they are in college itself. You have innovation labs and incubators and so on. So they turn people into entrepreneurs while in college. So if you have a big idea, do not hesitate. That is the first thing. Just go for it. I mean, you have time on your hand. If you fail, also you can recover. You can come back. So do not hesitate if you have. There are no fixed templates. There are templates when you go to a VC and whatnot and all. At a later stage, there are certain information, certain formats. But for success, what is the template? I mean, you're passionate. You got to hook up a good team. I would say look around you. There are problems which need solutions, and these problems are not necessarily in your consumer or these problems are in society. You could say that how much water to be used to make the most nutritious rice. and you put a device over there and see that it cuts off the water at that point of time. I'm just giving a very example, but it serves the purpose. The right amount of fertilizers, after that the pump shuts off on its own. So there are things which are around you, which you can solve, right up to the form of saving energy or calculating the carbon sequestering which is happening and so on. So there are so many areas which youngsters could pick up. They don't have to get caught up into making a chai point or something like that, which gets funded easily, obviously. But these are areas which will really satisfy them. So age is not the barrier. Even after 20 years of working, somebody has an idea, he could get into it. Nothing is going to happen. I say everything is going to happen, nothing is going to happen. That means that everything good is going to happen, nothing bad is going to happen. So
yeah, that's the positive.
That's the positive. What would happen? Nothing. It's so easy. The risk. Everybody talks of risk. Everywhere there is a risk. So I think once you jump into it, and if you jump into early age, you can do course corrections. At a later age, okay, you need to hedge certain things and come to it. There is no right time. If you have the idea, just jump into it. And the ecosystem is quite. I think this is where families and friends. I was fortunate. Sundar called me and his family helped. Anand probably knows Venkat and Vijay. Vijay is younger brother. So all of us pulled in and made it happen. And Paresh is an investor, and you have Sam. So that's how you make it happen. You have experienced people who come with wisdom. So they come with a lot of wisdom. A lot of people give advice. We only check whether they are wise. You have a lot of advice going around. So you need to have the right set of people, the network. And the most important is, in our case, we had what we call angel customers. Our first customers were all angel customers. They helped us get the business, and they trusted us that these are rookies. And nobody asked me whether you've been in auto before or in telecom before. They just walk in, come on, show your product, and you're on. So I think that's the story we have been building, and a lot of storytelling goes into it. A young team, enthused team, and so we've hung around for 10 years, and probably, if you talk to Sundar, he has a story. He wants to go until 72.
We're going to talk to Sundar also. We're going to talk to Sundar also. But
So he has different stories to tell, and most of it is IT. My IT journey is 10 years, and the rest of it is training or sales and all. So it's been wonderful, and I would advise don't shy around. A lot of ideas around the
I know you are passionate about this sustainability, and then you can end up with some shairi also for us, little bit, because I know you like that part also, the satire part also. So what is the sustainability like you're talking
about? Sometimes you get into something not because of you, but because of the children. So my elder son is expert in water. So he's M.Tech in water science and governance. So he in charge of water security, wetlands, rivers, and whatnot. So 90% of the time he talks to me every day for an hour. He's based out of Delhi. He talks to me about only water and climate change and everything around biodiversity and species of birds and animals. And so I've been bombarded by this for the last 2 years, and he is deeply into it. And to add to it, my younger son is into packaging. He'll come to the US to do his MS in packaging. So he talks mostly about sustainable packaging. So the word sustainability caught me about 2 years back, and I started reading about it. And obviously, you need to be an expert. But then what happens is, it's been around. We've not been noticing it, whether it's biomimicry or whether how things are designed. Sustainability as a material element and a design element. What materials are sustainable and what designs are sustainable. If you look at nature, you get all the answers basically, and that's how you learn from it. And I'm not talking about activism. I'm not talking about rhetoric. We have a lot of it already going around on climate change and others. I'm talking about serious knowledge.
Carbon.
So this is probably I will be enjoying reading about it, doing it. Probably a tech part of it also will come into it at the right point of time. We may embed it with tech, but we need to have a lot of information around it, which is a very, very important area for us. So that excites me, and so the mind operates in that fashion a little bit. on the
Even this
sustainability.
will be the part of product designing, like, because I know a girl actually who's very passionate, from college. She's been talking about only product designing and all that. I didn't know that's a field actually altogether where people study only that part.
Yes,
of
yes. So
how the product will be designed, and
yeah,
sustainability will be part of that. What products is going to be used.
Yes, sustainability is part of the entire circular economy. So right from the selection of, when you select a material, it has to be going through the whole process. Even the supply chain part of it, while it is transported, how sustainable, and when it ends its cycle of life, how do you recycle it or get back? It's a whole science, and it must have been around, but I mean, it's assumed a lot of significance now.
Yeah. And I've been lucky. I've been participating in some of the sustainable community concept, which actually came from Stanford University.
Wow.
So 94, there was 2 professors, and I was lucky to be in touch with them and learn a lot of concepts for sustainable community. And that is another thing which we wanted to have, here with blockchain at some point of time, because blockchain kind of enables that the currency where let's say volunteers are they are getting benefit from and being part of the sustainable, where they can encourage the inherent value of the whole community as such. So
absolutely, so sustainability is all about everything. Is about communities. It's about communities.
Absolutely. Great. So it was great discussion with you, Mr. Ganapathi. We learned a lot of things, and I think it's great for
Shairi. Let him say one shairi.
Please go ahead.
Because he's like,
please go ahead.
I'm not prepared for that.
Ek bol one only.
Just one. बोलता हूँ.
Sure.
Which to share actually, which inspires.
कोई सवाल होते हैं जिनका जवाब नहीं. कोई सवाल ऐसे होते हैं जिनका जवाब नहीं. कोई जवाब ऐसे होते हैं जिनका जवाब नहीं.
कोई जवाब ऐसे होते हैं जिनका जवाब नहीं. अच्छा, तो सवाल ही हो गए, वो जवाब आएगा ही नहीं इसका.
नहीं. कोई सवाल ऐसे होते हैं जिनका जवाब नहीं. There is no answer to certain questions. और कोई जवाब ऐसे होते हैं जिनका जवाब नहीं. मतलब the answer is so profound. जिनका जवाब नहीं.
Right.
Appreciation of that part.
Appreciation of that. Yeah.
Great. So thank you. This is such a great discussion and talk.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
Sure,
we look forward to interact more. Thank you, Sanjay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Anand. It's been great catching up with you after so long.
Thank you, Mr. Ganapathi. Thank you, Anand. Thank you.